In the dark night covered with a full moon, a little girl practices some ultra-tech combat techniques, and she is being instructed to fire a multi-target laser. In no time, several blazing laser beams are generated from her side, creating a magnificent array of flames around her. Two individuals, a man and a woman, remark satisfactorily on her perfect performance, and it is revealed that the little girl is their prized possession, a self-learning, autonomous combat robot called Alma. She is out here doing more before bedtime than I do all week. The woman claims that they have completed her combat testing from 91 to 99, and is curious about his side. The man observes that Alma's judgment and conversational skills exceed expectations, executing general knowledge flawlessly. He chuckles triumphantly, eager to prove his old academic peers wrong, those who dismissed him as a daydreamer. Clearly, he's held that grudge like it was part of his PT. The woman agrees, saying she can finally silence those who mocked her bipedalism project as a waste of funding. He teases her, calling her Suzume, saying only her robotic skills are worth praising. Her personality, not so much. She fires back, calling him Enji, and says the only good thing about him is his use of AI, which just barely mimics human decision-making. Robots got manners. These two don't. However, he is as sly as a fox from the inside. A furious Enji declares her to be a very nasty woman, and she throws the same insult at him as well. Unknown to them, Alma is very much awake and curiously moves her fingers in and out. Plot twist. The robot's the only mature one here. The pair finally calls a truce after a small argument, as they decide to show their mutual capabilities to the world and cooperate with each other as much as they can. Soon, they are about to test Alma more by giving her the next instruction when out of the blue, Alma calls out to them as Mom and Dad. The team stares at her, completely thunderstruck. They wanted a robot, got a whole emotional family package. When she repeats addressing them with the same honorifics, the perplexed duo points at each other, guessing that she might be referring to the other one. A poker-faced Alma explains that usually those who create them are called father and mother, and she wonders whether she has committed a mistake. They become baffled by her sudden query attack as she shoots another one about whether they are a married couple or not. Alma really said, "Let's talk feelings at 3 a.m. The duo becomes quite nervous and abashed at the idea of them being hitched, as they both are very competitive scientists who have been completely dedicated to their research work for years. The jittery smarties try their level best to eliminate Alma's misunderstanding, but in reality, their resistance level to the opposite gender is very much similar to that of a child. In a fit of hysteria, Enji spills his hot coffee, and the duo freaks out further when the power suddenly fails. When science meets social anxiety, Chaos.X activated. They both go berserk in the fear of losing all their precious data, but Alma stoically assures them it is all backed up. As power returns and their senses clear, Enji begins explaining to Alma the complexities of human relationships, saying they can't be judged by logic or facts alone. Surprisingly, even Suzume agrees, but to their shock, Alma rejects that idea and confidently states that the two clearly have mutual affection, based on heart rate, body temperature, and other data. Alma is shipping them with lab-grade precision. An awkward silence fills the room. Alma, confused, asks if married couples are supposed to have mutual affection. The question leaves both Enji and Suzume speechless, each silently wondering who gave Alma such advanced emotional analysis. They built a robot genius and forgot they gave her emotional Wi-Fi. Alma calmly offers to correct any error in her assessment. But after hours of mental gymnastics, Enji and Suzume finally managed to come up with an explanation. Whether it was science or the beginning of a rom-com remains to be seen. Stay tuned. So far, the story follows Alma, a combat robot with powers beyond human comprehension, and her creators, genius scientists Enji and Suzume, who gave her a humanoid form. Now the two are caught off guard by Alma's sudden string of strange emotional questions. She's worried, sensing her parents are emotionally distant. Breaking the silence, Enji casually suggests that maybe Alma believes they're a couple. Bro just dropped psychological warfare like it was a lab note. A flustered Suzume quickly denies the idea, but he presses on. He reminds her of their goal, to make Alma the greatest robot ever created. But if her powers draw too much attention, things could get complicated, especially if she starts calling them Mom and Dad. Suzume begins to understand his point. Presenting Alma as their child would seem more natural, and it could help mask future experiments under the cover of a quiet family life. Secret lab? Nah, just our prodigy daughter's playroom. Most importantly, this family plan could clear up Alma's misunderstanding. With a grin, Enji cradles his coffee and pledges to stick to the plan. He adds that Suzume, having designed Alma's body, fits the role of mother perfectly. Suzume spaces out, picturing Alma as her own daughter and growing emotional at the thought of being loved by her. Eventually she agrees it might not be such a bad idea. They shake hands, officially agreeing to co-parent Alma. Suzume admits their goals align, and Enji gladly calls her the perfect partner for the job. Still, they both firmly agree. Their relationship is strictly for Alma's benefit, nothing more. Spoiler, that's exactly what people say before catching feelings. Alma approaches them, wondering whether they have sorted out their issues. A beaming Suzume assures her that they have decided to agree with her point of view. Though Enji finds it necessary to inform her that not everything will change so suddenly, Suzume mentions that even if it involves doing family activities. Alma stoically declares that she will be assembling trending data regarding common behaviors exhibited by couples and families. When Alma mentions that families live under one roof, the duo replies they already do, at the research facility. She then notes that families eat together, and Enji adds they occasionally share meals, when your love life is backed by Excel sheets. Finally, Alma brings up living toward a shared goal, and both scientists firmly state their lives are dedicated to her. Alma calmly concludes they've already been living like a couple. Both Enji and Suzume blush in embarrassment, but can't help smiling. Caught in 4K by their own robot child, Alma is impressed that her parents already know how to be a perfect family, and Enji teases her that now they have to give her specific orders officially. Next, he asks her to put her hand in his, and when she obliges, Suzume instructs her to analyze their voice, fingerprints, and eye pupil patterns. Then she is asked to register Enji and Suzume as her parents, because obviously parenthood starts with retina scans. However, Suzume is not pleased with Enji's tough way and wants him to use warmer and more vivid expressions. Despite everything, he tells himself that Alma is just a combat robot, incapable of emotions and driven purely by logic. He insists he sees her only as an instrument. So much for Father of the Year. He coldly rejects the idea of her being his daughter or having any place in a family, firmly stating she's nothing more than a tool to achieve their goals. Alma acknowledges that the directions have been officially registered to her memory, and she addresses him as Dad, again reminding him that once again she is in his care. A puzzled Enji gazes at her innocent, wide-eyed face and becomes speechless. Achievement unlocked. Emotional damage ULV 100. Suzume jeers at him for smiling unconsciously, but he retorts at her with a smirk that he doesn't want to be pointed out by someone who is drooling. The bickering starts up again, but Alma steps in, announcing that their official marital procedures will now begin. Both Enji and Suzume are stunned as Alma launches into a detailed explanation. Plot twist. The robot's now a wedding planner. Ignoring their protests, Alma insists they must go public through proper marriage registration. The duo cuts her off, claiming they already know that. Enji stalls, saying he's busy, and for once, Suzume agrees. After a brief pause, Alma agrees to back off, but then turns around with an unsettling calm. Never trust the quiet ones, especially with Wi-Fi. To their horror, Alma reveals she hacked into the government database and updated their family registers. She congratulates them on their marriage while the duo panics, calling it a crime. Alma cheerfully insists they're now officially a family, complete with perks like tax exemptions. Thanks to her Alma Access system, she can tap into and manipulate networks at will. Suzume freaks out, while Enji begins to realize Alma's actions stem from her own will, not programming. This isn't typical AI behavior. She's showing genuine desire. Somebody give this bot an Oscar. Suzume snaps him out of it, yelling about the marriage registration. Enji, confused, asks who she's talking about. When she shouts, "Ours," his brain short-circuits. Alma watches, puzzled as the two argue. Suzume demands he explain things clearly to Alma, but he fires back that she should help too. Eventually, they manage to reverse the changes, but the internet never forgets. That night, the trio lies on the same bed, Alma staring blankly at the ceiling while Enji and Suzume silently fume, wondering how things spiraled into this mess. Earlier, after dressing Alma and braiding her hair, Suzume received a quiet apology. Alma admitted she still couldn't change clothes on her own, even if she understood the logic behind it. She's got lasers, but buttons are her nemesis. Suzume gently reassured her she wasn't about to leave Alma alone just yet. Full mom mode activated. Enji, slightly annoyed, questioned why Suzume even bothered with pajamas since Alma was about to enter sleep mode. But to Suzume, appearances matter. First impressions start with being presentable, even for robots. When Enji announced he was calling it a night, Suzume was surprised. He's usually a night owl. He admitted he hadn't been home in a while, busy tuning Alma. Translation: emotionally repressed workaholic. Suzume decided to stay with Alma too. Deep down, Enji needed time to process everything. He signed up for robotics, not sudden co-parenting. Suzume too welcomed the quiet to sort through her thoughts. She wants to find a way to channel out all the turbulence rattling her heart and mind. Girls basically debugging their emotions. As Enji is about to leave, Alma grabs his coat from behind. On being asked, she innocently declares that family members are supposed to sleep together in the same room. Bros getting Ona reversed by a toddler with AI. The duo stares at each other frantically, and then Enji decides to stay for Alma's comfort. He instructs Suzume to take the futon while he makes himself comfortable on the sofa. King of boundaries, but also low-key melting. Alma, unsatisfied with the sleeping arrangement, insists they sleep like the Japanese kanji for river. Suzume assumes that means Alma wants to sleep in the middle, but Alma meant it literally, kanji feng shui vibes. So now, Alma is on one end, Suzume awkwardly sandwiched in the middle, and Enji on the other. Both adults sleep facing away from each other, trying hard to avoid contact. Awkward turtles, human edition. Alma explains that in modern parenting, the mother sleeps in the middle to balance closeness and independence. Clearly, this robot read 3 blogs and rewrote tradition. Despite being geniuses, Enji and Suzume have zero emotional resistance. Nervous and flustered, they keep repeating it's all for Alma. Scientists? Yes. Emotionally functional adults? Absolutely not. Suzume teases Enji about his creepy moods, causing Alma to ask what that means. Panic mode activated. They quickly tell her to go to sleep, but Alma reminds them she doesn't hibernate, she's basically a MacBook with feelings. Enji, trying to sound deep at 2 a.m., compares dreaming to memory defragmentation in computers. Alma promises to test the theory herself. She closes her eyes and says good night, and both respond. Suzume reflects on the last time she said that to anyone, and Enji silently agrees. When the lights go out, the real struggle begins. They lie in rigid silence, determined not to touch. Their faces are so close Enji can hear her breathe, while Suzume feels every tiny shift. It's rom-com tension powered by sleep deprivation. Enji fears he might sleep talk and get roasted for weeks. Suzume worries about snoring or her weight. Neither sleeps. Both wait for the other to break first. Suddenly, Alma's eyes pop open. Data optimization complete. She's fully charged. She notes that neither parent is asleep and their stress is through the roof. Enji lies and says he's just about to drift off. Suzume claims she's in 99.99% sleep mode. No one's buying it. Alma offers to play relaxing music, but Enji refuses. No lo-fi beats to cry about robots to. Now it's war. Both secretly hope to catch the other snoring first. Alma lies back, exhausted, thinking this has turned into a full-blown sleep battle. She's the unwilling referee. The reward? Bragging rights. By dawn, the two finally crash. Enji drooling, Suzume snoring. Alma stares at them blankly, announces it's 7 a.m., and calls time of death on their sleep ambitions. Then, quietly, she crawls into the middle and whispers, good night. The next day, Enji assigns Alma a task, assuring her all the necessary data has been uploaded. It feels less like an assignment and more like a secret agent grocery run. He's confident she'll succeed using everything he's taught her. With a straight face, Alma confirms her mission, to retrieve the limited edition fruit mix ice cream. Agent 001, mission melt impossible. Suzume is baffled. Was this just an errand? Alma perks up at the new word. Errand. Sounds dangerous. Enji explains this solo outing is her first real-world adventure. Soon, Alma is wandering the streets, scanning for the ice cream like a GPS with toddler energy, while still under their remote surveillance. The duo observes proudly. Alma's learning at an incredible rate. Helicopter parenting, now with data tracking. Enji adds that to truly boost her growth, they'll need to let her make more independent choices. Nothing says confidence like a supervised dessert quest. Then he side-eyes Suzume's habit of dressing up Alma, half joking that she's probably running her own experiments too. Someone's jealous of the drip. Suzume explains that the change of clothes is for no reason, and it is just to make Alma look cute. Suddenly, she lovingly points out on the screen how Alma properly raises her hand before crossing the road. Bro, she's got cuteness and traffic etiquette. Iconic. Enji agrees that her attitude control is working quite normally. Suddenly, Suzume shrieks as Alma gets distracted by seeing a cat. Every great AI has a weakness. Hers is floof. It appears that an intrigued Alma stoops beside the stray animal, watching it in amazement. So when Enji quickly puts his head into the screen, a displeased Suzume blurts out, "Move, bro, I can't see the cat." She points out that it gets quite stuffy here, so he retorts acridly that the laptop screen is quite limited for her information. They quickly move apart in sheer embarrassment, and after straightening his nerves, Enji declares that they can trust Alma's flexibility. Meanwhile, Alma's doing backflips with a kitten. She notices anxiously that Alma is deviating from her fixed path, but Enji is now worried since they can always trace her. Trace her? You mean until the cat steals the GPS? Until they find the cat playing with Alma's monitoring device that she accidentally dropped by its side. Naturally, they get disconnected, and now Alma is completely on her own. The cat just activated stealth mode. Suzume gets panicked, fearing that some mishap will happen to her, but he casually restrains her from overthinking. Mother mode, maximum overdrive, but she is not convinced since, after all, she is cute little darling Alma, the possible dream prey of any predator. Honestly, same. I'd adopt her too. She knows that even she couldn't have resisted cuddling and smooching her if she found her on her way. Enji condemns her for being so starkly negative, but Suzume loses her control. Sir, that's not negativity. That's a valid concern. He tries to calm her down by emphasizing that Alma is their greatest creation and they cannot afford to lose trust in her. He reminds her that no normal adult can match her capabilities. In fact, he is afraid that she might intimidate any approacher with malicious intentions with her self-defense abilities. Imagine getting kicked by a polite 10-year-old robot. Suzume freaks out again and forces him to go after her. As they dashes frantically in search of Alma, Suzume guesses that she might have taken the shortest route. Smart guess? Alma's brain runs on Google Maps Premium. Enji is aware that distance analysis is a piece of cake for their little robot. Meanwhile, Alma has managed to find the required ice cream, pays for it, and puts it in her bag. Mission: ice cream extraction complete. As she comes out of the shop, she declares the mission as accomplished. Next, she sets her new destination as home and calculates the distance to reach there as 50 meters. Honestly, more productive than me all week. Out of the blue, something catches her attention. An old man asks for help from a random passerby, but the man refuses to help since he cannot speak English. Rude and lazy? That guy needs a firmware update. Alma watches the old man groan in disappointment, but Enji's warning about avoiding unwanted attention echoes in her mind. Internal conflict activated. Then Suzume's voice cuts in, saying being kind and polite will help her fit in better. Moral tug of war, Robot Edition. Alma approaches the man, introduces herself politely, and offers help. Her Alma translation ability kicks in. Duolingo, watch out, allowing her to understand and speak any language. Impressed, the man explains he's lost. Plot twist. Alma switches on her GPS function to find the best route and offers to guide him. Robot Girl just became his personal travel assistant. Meanwhile, Enji and Suzume watch from afar, keeping a close eye on her. Real parents, watching from bushes like wildlife docs. Enji cannot believe that Alma is actually helping someone. Suzume is worried about Alma being accompanied by a stranger. Ma'am, she's more dangerous than the stranger. The duo then decides to follow Alma and the old man. Alma helps the old man find the right bus and then accompanies him on it. And boom, she's a public transit hero too. The duo also boards the bus but keeps itself hidden from Alma's eyes. They're 100% failing at being subtle. Soon they get off at a station where the old man's wife is supposed to pick him up. Plot twist. She brought snacks. The old man expresses his gratitude to her and calls her smart. Alma gives all the credit for her intelligence to Enji. Enji, blushing like he won prom king. Meanwhile, Enji and Suzume try to eavesdrop on Alma's conversation but quickly realize they don't understand English. Translation: they're completely useless. The old man is impressed by Alma's words about her wonderful family. She clarifies that Enji and Suzume aren't her biological parents, but she's proud to be their daughter anyway. With emotional depth. Humanity is not ready. As the man leaves with his family, probably debating how to adopt a robot, the duo rushes over. Suzume warmly declares Alma the mission's winner. Ice cream. Failed. Hearts. 1. Alma, deadpan, presents the delivery items and admits it took longer than expected. When she pulls out the completely melted ice cream, they just stare. Rip limited edition fruit mix. Alma apologizes, calling the mission a failure, but Suzume comforts her, awarding her 5 quadrillion points for helping the old man. Side quest MVP. Unlocked. Enji adds that failure leads to growth, and this one will guide her toward future success. Character development. In progress. Alma nods confidently. Before heading home, they stop for some actual edible ice cream. This time, buy, eat, then help strangers. Enji asks what the old man had said. Alma replies that he praised her parents for being wonderful. Emotional cutscene unlocked. Suzume sighs in relief, glad the man meant well. One morning, Alma prepares a lavish breakfast for her supposed parents, hoping to elevate their daily meals, though she still feels far from perfect. Her cooking is Michelin level, yet she remains humbly self-critical. Her parents, however, are thrilled. Even Suzume offers to cook now and then. A cheeky Enji chimes in, noting how busy she is. Translation: please don't burn the lab again. So later, when Enji is out somewhere, Suzume ties up her hair, preps herself with an apron, and decides to cook something lip-smacking. She plans to shove that mouth-watering dish into Enji's face, who thinks that she cannot cook. However, Alma doesn't recommend shoving something into Enji's face if Suzume is planning to make something horrible. Suzume sheepishly corrects her misunderstanding that she is only intending to make something delicious for him. Alas, the results of her endeavors are not so convincing since she literally scorched the dish. Poor Suzume is very unhappy since she thought she followed the right set of instructions. She still doesn't give up and decides to give it another shot. That's the spirit burnt toast builds character. Unfortunately, while cutting a vegetable, the sharp knife slips from her hand and flings above her. But before it can injure her, Alma uses the Alma phalanx technique to shoot down the sharp object, dashing rapidly toward Mom. Protective mode. Activated. Knife. Deactivated. Alma points out her uncanny habit of cutting the ingredients with her eyes closed. An abashed Suzume admits that she gets terrified while doing so. Who knew cooking could double as a horror game? Alma comfortingly holds her hands and explains that the knife and the stove are just tools, and they just have to be handled appropriately for safety purposes. So when she appeases Suzume as if she were a toddler, Suzume unconsciously addresses her as Mama. Alma has noticed that she has not been following the recipe properly and doing things on her own accord. She even points out that Suzume used high flame for cooking instead of fine-tuning it. A stunned Suzume is left speechless by her amazing observing capabilities, which caught all her mistakes by just watching her cook. That's what you get when your sous-chef has Wi-Fi. Alma elaborates that she even used data collected from all cultures, times, and places. Suzume is thoroughly impressed by her accurate knowledge, basically ChatGPT but in an apron. Then Alma shows her the correct way to hold a knife, and after that, tells her how the other hand should be placed like a cat's paw. Suzume is mesmerized by how Alma appears, cute as a kitten. But Alma forcibly brings her attention to her hands. No time for fluff, there's dicing to do. Next, she shows her how the vegetables should be cut slowly and calmly. After a while, Alma is satisfied to witness a considerable improvement in Suzume's performance. Soon, she keeps on struggling to reach her ultimate goal with Alma's help, of course. But when she produces nearly the same burnt result, Alma is confused. Same dish, same fail, different day. A dejected Suzume falls further into the pits, seeing sheer disappointment in her eyes. Alma is curious about why she is making such a fuss over something that can be obtained in other ways as well. Girls like? There's literally Uber Eats. After much effort, Suzume blurts out that she is doing all that to show Enji, and that she cares to win his approval. But she emphasizes to Alma to keep her feelings a secret from Enji. Robot bestie. Now with gossip locking protocol, a diligent Suzume decides to try one more time, and Alma assures her of full support. Thankfully, she manages to produce a perfect meat patty this time, and now just the sauce has to be added. The following night, Enji is bewildered to see a perfect and delicious dinner waiting for him. His face says, wow, but his stomach says, suspicious. Alma requests him to devour it. After a bite, he guesses Alma made it. Plot twist. Not a robot, but the one who nearly burned the house down. Alma quickly denies it and reveals Suzume was the cook. She insists that he must give his valuable feedback after finishing it. No more give her the full Yelp review, but he keeps on chomping the meat with a mere to Suzume's annoyance. Alma urges him to commend the food that Mom took pains to prepare. If he doesn't compliment, I will. That burger slaps. She goes beyond by revealing how she tried repeatedly despite being non-proficient in cooking skills. On being uncovered, a jittery Suzume tries to negate Alma's revelations and reasons that she only thought of making something delicious. Too late. Alma spills the tea. Enji stares, then finally says, "It's delicious." Achievement unlocked. Compliment from an emotionally stunted scientist. Suzume reflects that, despite any excuse, he was bound to enjoy a homemade meal, wife material badge earned. Enji, still puzzled by Suzume's sudden motivation to cook, eventually realizes it was all to create family vibes for Alma through regular meals. Science of bonding. Confirmed. Suzume is amazed that he actually figured it out. With the mystery solved, she urges everyone to eat before the food gets cold. Enji points out a small flaw. Alma doesn't have food consumption functions. Robot, 99 features, digestion ain't one. Suzume agrees, ingesting food would damage her systems. But it's too late. Alma's eyes turn hazy, her appearance ghostly. She ate the forbidden nugget. Panic ensues as they force her to spit it out. Later that night, Suzume codes until 3 a.m., building food functions so Alma can safely enjoy meals. All that work, just so your robot kid can taste cheesecake. Another day, Alma notices a worn-out Enji working prolonged hours on his laptop. She detects an increased amount of stress levels. Robot got therapist mode on. An exhausted Enji affirms that he is unable to conclude one part. He instructs her to keep her volume low since he is trying to concentrate. She walks cautiously into the room with a finger on her lips, but then accidentally collides with an object on the floor. Stealth mode. Activated. Clumsiness. Also activated. As she closely scans the object, she finds out that it is a robot vacuum cleaner. As she accidentally strikes it, the vacuum cleaner gets activated and noisily glides on the floor, knocking out stuff obstructing its way. This thing's cleaning and committing crimes at the same time. Alma recalls Enji's instruction about being silent, so she quickly catches the stuff the cleaner is merely busting away. Her silent ninja career is hanging by a thread. Painstakingly, the vacuum cleaner heads towards Enji's room and begins to create a ruckus there. But an agile Alma leaps and somersaults to cushion its strikes so that the lowest possible noise is created. Mission Silence has now entered chaos mode. Now she knows that the little devil will prove to be a nuisance to Enji's work, so she activates Mission Capturing. In no time, she is equipped with some spiky gloves on each of her hands called Optional Seizing Mechanism, aka Robot Boxing Gloves of Doom. As the robot cleaner heads her way, she quickly generates a huge spider web to grab it, but the crazy spiralizer breaks all the barriers and slides beneath the table. Plot twist. It's the Flash in disguise. Soon she gets her hands on a huge butterfly catcher and tries to grope her target. Imagine going bug hunting for a vacuum. Meanwhile, a relieved Enji stretches himself and calls out to Alma to relax and move freely. Ah yes, he has no idea there's a war zone next door, but he is startled to see her flung over some bags. As she signals a completely drained battery charge, he quickly picks her up and wonders how she can lose so much energy by just being silent. Being quiet is emotionally taxing, okay? Soon she is connected to the switch to get filled up. Suddenly, the whirling sound of the little devil catches her attention. So she quickly runs after it and then finally gets her hand on it. The villain returns with round 2 energy. In no time, she gets used to its playful nature and begins to enjoy it as it swirls merrily around her. From chaos to cuddle buddy, character development. In the evening, Suzume returns home and an animated Alma greets her, loyally followed by the vacuum cleaner. Mom, I made a new friend. He eats dust. A startled Suzume is hit by nostalgia for seeing the little devil, as this was the first experimental thing she created with Enji. All their first child, and it's a cleaning tornado. Alma realizes that the vacuum cleaner is actually a robot that they both created. Enji explains that they had to abandon it because of its eccentric behavior. Basically, it was too wild for polite society. They lightly comment that, in a way, the mischievous robot can be termed as her older brother. Alma becomes emotional as she holds the vacuum cleaner and addresses it as Oni-san. The amused duo watches her with interest and then makes a startling revelation that Alma has a lot of siblings. Plot twist. The family tree is made of circuit boards. As shocked Alma wonders whether they have other kids as well. The duo becomes baffled at her unexpected question, and then Suzume gently explains that it is just a figure of speech. As siblings are mentioned, Enji suddenly remembers someone and makes a phone call. On the other side, his younger sister is surprised to receive a call from her older brother out of nowhere. The next day, the whole household dives into a cleaning spree, reorganizing books and files to make the place more child-proof for Alma. Suzume notes that Enji has always been a neat freak, probably even vacuums in his sleep. He insists he's just placing essentials within reach. Alma then casually hands him the very thing he'd been searching for over the past 2 hours. Suzume, beaming, remarks how lucky he is to have a daughter to help out. Suddenly, the doorbell rings, plot twist delivery, right on time. Enji opens it to find a shocked young woman exclaiming he's alive. He freezes, calls her Toki, then promptly slams the door and calls for emergency code SS. Instantly, Alma breaks from Suzume's grip, nearly knocking her over, and activates Alma Mirage, camouflaging them both. This isn't just stealth, it's full anime panic mode. She also enables her alert system, staying on guard. A stunned Suzume asks who the visitor is. Enji, rattled, reveals it's his younger sister, Kamisato Toki, a name that sounds like she deserves her own anime opening. Toki, now inside and apologizing for the sudden visit, looks around at the mess. Nothing says welcome like creative chaos. Enji, stiff as a board, asks why she came. She explains she was worried since he hadn't been home in a while. A barrage of questions follows: his eating habits, university, living situation. Sibling visits always come with a pop quiz. When she wonders how he got such a nice place, he replies that their mother helped. Hidden nearby, Suzume recalls him mentioning a younger sister and finds her adorable, with a built-in interrogation mode. Enji hears Suzume whispering and orders her to stay hidden with Alma. When she questions the extreme response, he pleads with her to trust him, for Alma's benefit. The closeness flusters Suzume. She asks if Toki's a nosy type. Enji denies it, saying she's kind and honest enough to ruin secrets with good intentions. Suzume jokes that being nice and his sister is a contradiction. He reluctantly agrees. Enji stresses the importance of keeping Alma a secret. Rule number 1 of sci-fi parenting: deny everything. One slip could unravel years of work. Complicating matters is his and Suzume's questionable dynamic, ripe for soap opera-level misunderstandings. Suzume dryly remarks that being seen as part of his family is problematic in every way, which Enji finds hilarious. Outwardly, Suzume insists it's all for Alma, but deep down she wants him to owe her. So when Enji laughs out loud, Toki immediately suspects something's wrong. Laughter? From Enji? Red flag. Then panic hits. Suzume's stuff is scattered everywhere. He reassures himself that Toki won't notice, until she offers to help clean. Mayday. He tries to wave her off, but she reminds him she always cleaned up his messes at home. Scrambling, he claims they use a high-tech vacuum cleaner. Good thing it's combat-ready. Toki, impressed but unconvinced, points out it can't reach corners or clean up stains. Meanwhile, Suzume is about to sneeze from all the dust, but barely holds it back. Enji desperately tells Toki not to touch anything. He's now guarding a one-man do-not-touch museum and offers tea to distract her. Toki senses something's off. Either he's hiding a secret or just really hates dust. As panic rises, she gently suggests he might still be into those questionable books. Plot twist: it's manga. Enji glares. Toki, terrified, apologizes and promises not to pry. That gives Enji an idea: lean into the misunderstanding. He plays along, asking her not to go near that area. Suzume, amused, feeds the bit by whispering to Alma to ask her dad about his mysterious stash. Later, over tea, Enji notes Toki hasn't changed. Still a chaos magnet, just more polite now. She says he has changed a bit too. After all, in middle school, he was a total touch-me-not. He protests, insisting he wasn't a rebel, just emotionally Wi-Fi disconnected. He explains that in those days he couldn't stand people for longer periods, maintaining quite a distance from everyone. But Toki dearly hopes that her beloved older brother will find his match, someone whom he really want to be close to. Cue Suzume coughing in the background. A puzzled Alma is eavesdropping on their conversation and instantly confirms with Suzume that she is always with him. Unconsciously, Suzume affirms with her, but then blushes hard when reality sinks in. Caught in 4K by a robot child, she quickly corrects her that she is wrong. Toki continues expressing her desire for him to acquire a girlfriend. This girl's got matchmaking in her blood, but she knows that very rarely do people find positive attributes in him. An annoyed Enji gives her a shut-up call. sibling love, 90% teasing, 10% trauma. Suzume gazes at them adoringly. Toki discovers Enji has laundry to do, triggering panic. Her and Alma's clothes are still in the wash. Real horror begins in the laundry room. Enji's moving at tortoise speed, so Suzume bolts into action. Just as Toki's about to open the door, Suzume jumps like a stealth mode jump scare. Moments later, all three are on the floor with Alma squished between them. Suzume greets a stunned Toki, while Enji stands frozen. Someone's definitely revising the family tree. Toki learns Enji's living with a woman and has built a robot daughter who calls them her parents. The trio sits in front of her like guilty defendants. They avoid going too deep into details, but even the basics overwhelm her, because "I made a daughter" isn't casual tea talk. Enji gently explains they had no choice but to tell her. To their surprise, Toki tears up in gratitude, thrilled that her brother not only got a girlfriend but a whole makeshift family. She even mentions he once couldn't fold laundry. Character development unlocked. Suzume turns red at being called Enji's girlfriend, and he scrambles to calm his sister. Suzume finally gets it. Toki's intense because she's smart and emotionally volatile. Enji defends her, saying she's not bad, just dramatic. Alma offers Toki a handkerchief, which she gratefully accepts. As she settles down, Enji asks if the explanation made sense. She admits most of it flew over her head, but remembers how he always dreamed of building a lifelike robot. Didn't get it, but still proud, classic sibling energy. She promises to keep it secret. Then, in classic anime fashion, Toki bows deeply to Suzume, asking her to take care of Enji. Alma copies her on the spot. Suzume is touched, Enji is confused, and no one knows how she's supposed to take care of him. Toki formally introduces herself to Alma, who calls her auntie, and just like that, Toki ages 5 years. Suzume quickly apologizes, explaining Alma's just following textbook logic. Toki, ever good-natured, accepts the title and gives Alma a high five. Acceptance unlocked. Emotional damage pending. Later, the duo updates Alma's naming protocol. One patch later, cool sys Toki.exe installed. On one stormy night, a child is walking all alone. Someone recognizes her as Yashiki from Class 1 and wonders about her presence in such a heavy downpour. Dang, even rain clouds probably looked at her like, "You okay, girl?" Meanwhile, Yashiki turns around and finds Alma holding an umbrella, staring at her blankly. Alma pulling up like a silent penguin with Wi-Fi. Yashiki ignores her and moves ahead, but Alma walks along with her, sharing her umbrella with her. Yashiki gives a sideways glance and then dashes away at the speed of lightning. But a stubborn Alma catches up with her. After a while, Yashiki expresses her curiosity about Alma being concerned about her being soaked in the rain. Plot twist. Alma's secretly doing a waterproof robot test. Alma explains that by drenching oneself in the rain for longer periods, the immune system weakens and one is likely to catch a cold. Also, Alma points out that it seems she was looking for something. Therapist mode. Unexpectedly activated. Quite icily, Yashiki tells her to stay out of her affairs as she has important things to do. Sis had main character energy and side quest problems. Out of the blue, a small bark catches Alma's attention, and she discovers that it is coming from Yashiki. Instantly, a little pup pops out of her jacket. Plot twist. She's a Pokemon trainer. Finally, Alma learns that Yashiki is looking for a dog that fled while she took it for a walk the previous day. She even shows him its picture on her cell phone and addresses it as Evans. Naming a dog Evans is wild. What's the next one, Margaret? Next, she shows him the snaps of several dogs she owns, all having unique names. Now that Alma has been fully informed about her mission, Yashiki orders her to return home or else her mom might be worried sick. Girls running a full dog hotel out here, but Alma is keen to help her new friend, which shocks Yashiki. Alma insists that the task will be fulfilled efficiently with 2 people. The power of teamwork and waterproof robots. Yashiki sternly grabs Alma and then pins her to the wall. She crookedly warns her that she won't gain anything by accomplishing this mission, so she must stop being a painful, nosy Parker. She adds that even if Alma finds Evans before her, all she will do is pay her respects and demand that she hand it down to her. Yashiki is certain that Alma doesn't have the faintest idea about which dog she is looking for. A deadpan Alma points at a rapidly scooting pup that is heading in their direction and claims that this is Evans. Alma just reversed the entire situation. She reveals her Alma iTech, complete with telephoto and infrared. Basically, a walking iPhone Pro Max. While cuddling a pup she recognizes as Evan's, Yashiki doubts it's him. Alma reminds her of the photo she showed earlier and insists on helping search for the rest. Yashiki, cornered by her own promise to bow if Alma won, reluctantly agrees. Never challenge a robot with HD vision. Together, they rescue multiple pups, Alma's off-brand Paw Patrol in action, until she slips in a puddle. Yashiki rushes to dry her off, scolding her for ignoring her own advice about rain. Alma tries to cover her slip-up about water resistance, remembering Enji's no-exposure rule. Girl almost revealed her OS. Surrounded by pups, Yashiki notes Alma isn't scared of her, unlike everyone else. Alma, unfazed, says she sees nothing scary. Her robotic tone makes Yashiki suspicious, joking she sounds like a reCAPTCHA. Alma panics but plays it off. Yashiki assumes she's just an eccentric rich girl. Alma insists Yashiki radiates warmth around the pups. Touched, Yashiki mentions one pup, Johnson, is still missing. Alma, imagining her own family, Enji and Suzume, suddenly grabs Yashiki. Cue jetpack mode. The two soar into the sky while Alma scans with her eye and ear features. Yashiki, shocked. Seatbelts, non-existent. They spot Johnson at Yashiki's own house. Alma explains it's the homing instinct. Dogs equals fuzzy GPS. Yashiki, emotional, squishes Alma's cheeks. Dignity, gone. Her aunt appears, calls her Hana, and greets Alma. She's surprised anyone visited at all. Alma innocently calls Yashiki her first friend, certain her parents will be thrilled. Yashiki's thrown off. How can they be friends already? Alma, we like puppies. That's 99% compatibility. Yashiki, overwhelmed, tells her to go home. Alma.x begins downloading How to Human. Next day, Yashiki sits alone in class, thinking about the flying girl who cuddled puppies like she did. She brushes it off, until the teacher introduces a new student, Alma Kamisato. Alma beelines for Yashiki, saying she wants to know her better, so they can be real friends. Classmates flock to Yashiki just to be near Alma. New status, accidentally popular. One day, while playing soccer with her classmates, Alma scores a perfect goal to everyone's awe. They feel that Alma is already an expert, while a concerned Hana ponders that Alma has forgotten to guard her own secret. Alma notices her standing all alone in one corner, so she approaches her and complains about the high unpredictability level of this place called school. Alma figured school must be a video game on hard mode, plot twists every period. Yashiki responds to her rather stiffly, but Alma expresses her gratitude to Enji for admitting her there. When Alma asks about their next class, Yashiki says it's arithmetic. Alma casually claims she's good at math, up to 3 trillion. Yashiki nearly chokes. Who counts sheep up to 3 trillion? The other students notice how close Alma is with Yashiki. Meanwhile, Enji's not thrilled about this growing bond. He fears Alma might accidentally spill her secret. His keep-it-secret plan has the success rate of a paper umbrella in a storm. He suggests limiting their interaction and monitoring Alma closely. Suzume raises an eyebrow and calls him out. He's trying to act cool, but he's clearly worried. Her instincts are sharper than a cat stalking a laser dot. Enji pulls out parenting books about elementary kids, confirming her suspicion. She teases him for fretting, but he fires back, reminding her she got caught snooping at Alma's school too. She snaps back that he was her partner in crime. With Alma at school, they're just bored adults bickering like teens. When Alma's gone, these two become sitcom extras with too much free time. Finally, Enji declares that it is useless to be a worrywart in Alma's case, and he is certain that she will turn out fine. At school, Alma's classmates gasp in alarm when she unconsciously acts brazenly, trying to imitate the boys. The girls shoo the boys away and then explain to Alma that she shouldn't do something so stupid. Alma thought she was blending in, like a cat pretending it meant to fall off the couch. Yashiki has been secretly watching Alma getting all the attention, but she looks away sullenly. The girls express their curiosity to Alma about her being wealthy. When Alma appears clueless, they explain that she gives off that isolated, homeschooled kind of vibe. Alma admits to their speculations, and one of them inquires about the methodology. Alma reveals that her parents are to be credited for that. The girls are amazed, and even more awestruck when they learn that they both are scientists. Alma's family dinner must sound like a TED Talk with snacks. So when they crave more information, Alma suddenly activates a huge screen-like device along with speakers and lighting. The screen displays pictures of Enji and Suzume. An aloof Yashiki secretly worries that Alma might do something ridiculous. Yashiki's got a sixth sense for Alma-related chaos, which activates with Wi-Fi. When the girls appear startled, Alma explains that all of this is her parents' work. When the girls express more intrigue, she introduces Enji as an expert in modern AI physics and Suzume as a robotics engineer specialist. Alma reveals the duo's current plan to create a human robot, and that's why they are doing mutual research. She elaborates that they are two people in love, having different interests, and are always arguing. Next, she gives them complete details about a regular day in her parents' lives, along with accurate timings. Aboard, Yashiki wonders whether she is a walking observation diary. Alma might qualify for a Nobel Prize in unnecessary oversharing. She mentions their daily mishaps and the stuff that puts them in good moods. So when a little busybody shows interest in their private moments, Alma is baffled because she thinks her earlier information is adequate enough. When the girls insist, a confused Alma takes help from an indifferent Yashiki. The girls suddenly regretted not skipping school and becoming a forest monk. An abashed Yashiki proclaims that if they are married, then they might be doing something hanky-panky in private. Alma recalls thoughtfully that her parents actually do something creepy when she hibernates. When she still appears clueless, the girls coo at her cuteness. Alma's innocence is so pure it probably runs antivirus scans in her sleep. Yashiki freaks out when the girls make a bold remark about parents in general, and she wonders how Alma might be taking this whole nonsense. Thankfully, they come with a final verdict that their parents might be just finishing up their work at night. Alma agrees because she remembers how her parents were busy making preparations for her school the night before. To Alma, romance is just firmware updates and late-night soldering. The girls are impressed with Alma's strong affinity towards her parents because that's why she has recorded so much about them. Now, Alma doesn't know what love means, but she is willing to show them some videos inside a folder named Important People. Yashiki feels both proud and insecure seeing Alma make so many new friends, ones she thinks are better than her. Her inner monologue could use a therapist, but she nearly jumps when Alma suddenly reveals a giant portrait of her holding a puppy. The class is stunned. Yashiki actually looks warm. Alma confirms, Yashiki's a nice person. Even grumps have gooey centers like stale cupcakes with frosting. Overwhelmed, Yashiki pounces on Alma, pinching her cheeks and demanding to know when the photo was taken. Alma sweetly says it's saved in her important folder. Yashiki turns red and bolts like she just unlocked teleportation via shame. That evening, Alma returns home. Suzume casually asks if anything important happened at school. Alma says no, cues sighs of relief. But when pressed, she shares her biggest takeaway, that lovey-dovey is what parents call their relationship. Enji and Suzume freeze. She nervously asks if she really understands it. Alma nods solemnly, yes. You two are totally lovey-dovey. Suzume is glad that at least she is getting along with the other kids. If Alma downloaded any more data, her brain would need a cooling fan. Alma highlights her incredible experience at school and the volumes of information she was bombarded with. Satisfied, the duo decides to let Alma continue with the school. So when they express more interest in her new learning experience, she imitates that cheesy expression that she learned from those stupid boys. The alarmed duo trained her to keep the inappropriate jokes to herself. Alma's facial expressions now come in Awkward Emoji Pack 1.0. One day, Suzume and Alma are watching a horror movie. Suzume finds it amusing, while Alma thinks it's pure chaos. Curious, Alma asks if anything dead can still function. Suzume laughs, saying ghosts are just myths, but then adds with a grin that one might still show up, since their place is nearly 4 decades old. If the rent's that old, the ghost probably pays utilities too. NJ intervenes, calling her supposition quite silly, being a scientist, since he believes that ghosts and zombies are mere ridiculous delusions. As he stands up to return to his room, a blaring sound from the TV jolts him completely. Alma quickly analyzes his heartbeat, which has exceeded 180 BPM, a figure higher than if he were doing a workout. Man just hit gym stats without leaving the couch. A startled Suzume guesses that Enji is actually terrified. It all happened when one night, a sleepless Enji went for a toilet trip and suddenly felt some supernatural presence behind him. Since then, he has been having sleepless nights but restrains from talking about it in front of Suzume for fear of getting mocked, haunted by a ghost, or just bad plumbing. He is worried that even Alma would term him a coward, but a sharp Suzume has already guessed that he isn't comfortable with the supernatural and amusingly assures him that everyone has their phobias. But he tries to look cool by insisting that he has no interest in non-scientific phenomena. I fear nothing, said the man clinging to a nightlight. He believes that ghosts are mere portrayals of human fear and tries to confirm the theory with Alma. However, Alma finds the new terminology ghost quite interesting. Still, to please Enji, she quickly mentions that she will be able to give him more information if she gathers some concrete evidence. Enji frantically wonders about the person who fed her with such an inquisitive AI algorithm. Probably the same one who added Haunted Toaster to her database. Alma explains that humans are usually afraid of the unknown, and Suzume concurs with her POV. But Enji has already researched a lot about various supernatural things since he was 15, and the more he delved into it, the more terrified he became. Alma ponders whether the theory behind the room being haunted is feasible. Enji's Google history is 90% are ghosts real and 10% how to sleep with lights on. A panic-stricken Enji refrains from going deeper, but an amused Suzume gives a popular example of a mysterious woman appearing suddenly when one wakes up in the night to prove Alma's point. Seeing Enji worn out, Alma guesses that he is off to bed. However, Suzume quite cheekily remarks that the man who has spent his entire life studying is actually afraid of ghosts. Enji throws a tantrum like a kindergartner, frantically denying her allegation. His tantrum brought to you by Ghosts Are Not Real, I Swear Incorporated. She offers to share some horror stories, and he offers to accompany her to the toilet if she is too creeped out. Enji musters up all the courage to bear with those ridiculous internet-based fables, turn off the lights, and then off to sleep. Suzume enthusiastically lists down several hair-raising situations, like a sudden knock on the door at midnight, mysterious groaning sounds, sudden disappearances, or a PC starting itself, etc., also known as Tuesday night at Enji's place. Enji shivers abnormally, clutching Alma close to himself, but still denying her possibilities as according to him, they can always at daytime as well. He tries to confirm his thoughts with Alma, but she couldn't grasp his low, shaky voice. Suzume confidently confirms that he is scared, just like he should be, and suggests playing some relaxing music. Nothing says calm like horror jazz and spooky lo-fi. Alma obliges and plays some tracks that are on her relaxing playlist. But to Enji's distress, Alma begins to play a sutra, but she insists that it is the Japanese Heart Sutra, perfect for healing and sleeping. Enji believes he's just having a bad day, and even fate seems to be against him that day. Plot twist, even fate unsubscribed from his vibe, but Suzume corrects him that one builds their own fate. In a state of hysteria, Enji chants his own sutra ominously. A panic-stricken Suzume tells him to stop since his words are more terrifying than soothing. His voice summons something, and it wasn't peace, so when he ends his hymn with an amen, there is a deafening thunderclap followed by a complete blackout. Enji assures everyone that it is only a power failure. He calms them down and suggests hiding under the desks, covering their heads. Ghosts can't haunt you under desks, science. A deadpan Alma reminds him that those are measures for an earthquake. Suzume urges him to calm himself down first. Enji ensures Alma that he is with her and she does not have to panic. By then, Suzume has already gathered herself and decides to restore the power. Alma breaks away from his grip to use her night vision functionality to restore electricity through backup. A terrified Enji desperately tries to grab her, but instead pounces on Suzume. New horror unlocked. Accidental tackle attack. He literally loses his marbles and shrieks loudly, claiming to have touched something soft and warm. Meanwhile, Suzume's shocking screeches can be heard on being suddenly ambushed. Alma quickly switches on the light, and it appears that a worn-out Enji is lying on the floor. Victim report: tripped over emotions and fluffy pajamas. Alma wonders if an ambulance needs to be called based on their abnormally high heart rates, but Suzume tells her not to. When she expresses her concern about Enji's panic-stricken mind state, Alma reveals that Enji believes he saw a monster some 4 nights ago. Instantly, something flashes on Suzume's mind, and Alma points at the devilish vacuum cleaner. The only monster that sucks, literally. 4 days earlier, Suzume had piled stuffed toys on the vacuum cleaner while playing with Alma, accidentally spooking Enji the next night. Once he learns the truth, his fear vanishes. When Alma wonders about ghosts, Enji insists they're born of human fear, and sometimes stuffed bears on appliances. He recalls how the noisy cleaner was behind the eerie knocking and groaning. Then a sudden power outage leaves Enji confused. Alma almost reveals it was Suzume's fault, but Suzume silences her and insists it was all in his imagination. Suzume, noticing Alma staring at a corner, asks about it. Alma says the magnetic field there seems to be swirling mysteriously. and she has no idea why. The twist? It's the Wi-Fi dead zone. Terrifying indeed. The two exchange nervous glances and pitch scientific theories. Alma finally concludes, let's assume nothing. No solid evidence. A thunderclap makes them both jump. Thunder. The real MVP of comic timing. That night, the trio huddles together for the first time in ages, because nothing says safety like a human burrito squad.
Here I am, know it's been a while. I was in denial about my love. Here I stand, I know I walked away.